The next person to touch your job then would be that of the compositor, and the compositor uses a tool that looks like this. This is called a composing stick, and this is what he will use to set the type piece by piece. We have them in different lengths, and the length depends on the width of your line. Whether he was left-handed or right-handed, the compositor would hold it in his left hand. He would wrap his fingers around it like this. He would hold the type in with his thumb and bring his wrist around and set type upside down piece by piece or letter by letter. You would find him in front of a case that looked like this. Now, this case was used from about 1849 until now. This is called the California job case, and this houses all the letters, all the punctuation, all the spacing material, and all the numbers that we need in one font and one size. Meaning that if you want to change the font, I have to go to a different drawer. If you want to change the size, I have to go to a completely different drawer. If you want it italic, I have to go to another drawer. So when you come in to a shop of this period, you will find a lot of drawers in the shop, and they house the type. He would stand in front, just left of center to the case, and he would begin to set type letter by letter to form words, words to form lines of type, and lines of type to form what is known as a type form, and I have one here on the desk. Now this is all set, and this is a good example, and although I'm really, really good at what I do, and this is absolutely perfect, I'm going to make sure. So I'm going to put it on this press right here. This is a Vandercook proof press. I'm going to take my trusty little brayer, which is nothing more than an ink roller with a handle. It was invented in 1812, and I'm going to put some ink on the face of the type. And without any further clinking or clanging or ado, I'm going to put some paper on there and just roll this cylinder across the type. And remember, this doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a proof. And I'm going to take my trusty little pen, and I'm going to give this to a person with a very, very unique job title. And the job title is proofreader. Now, in today's world, a proofreader has been reduced to a button on your computer. It's called spell check. Okay? But you must push it to make it work. And the proofreader is going to look at everything, not only misspelled words, but punctuation and grammar and that kind of thing. And they're going to mark what's wrong. If I have damaged type and worn out type, I would take that out and not put it back in the case and put it in this wooden box right here called the printer's hell box. And that is for damaged, worn out, and broken type. And that's the only thing back then that was recyclable in the shop. We could melt the metal down and recast the type. Not necessarily in this small shop, but we'd send it to the foundry. If I have a big printing plant, we'd have a room about this big, and we'd be casting type. Okay? And anything else that was wrong, this piece of paper would be handed back to me, and I would go back to the case and fix it. So what I'm telling you is this, that from about 1965 to 1970 until now, there are infinitely more mistakes in your newspapers, magazines, and books than there were prior to that, and we pay more for them. I'm not sure I understand that concept, but that's just the way it is. And I will go through this whole process as many times as the proofreader finds a mistake. But what I'm looking for is the OK. And once I have the OK, then I'm ready to lock up the form in this frame and go to press. But before we do that, I want you to hold that thought and let's learn. This right here is exactly what Gutenberg invented. He invented single letter movable type. He didn't invent printing. The Chinese were doing that 400 years before him. He invented single letter movable type, he invented the printing press, and he invented the ink that he used to print his Bible. You know, when you go to your computer and you click on the word font, and it drops down and there's just a myriad of type styles, remember this, that Gutenberg had one font. Ben Franklin had 4. Life was way easier then. Okay? And then you go on your computer to size. But wait a minute. The word font, I wonder where that comes from. This type is cast, and it is cast in a foundry. And font is short for foundry type. Okay? They could put type styles, which is easier, but this is short for foundry type. And then you go to size, and it says 6 point, 8 point, 10 point, 12 point, up to 72 points. and that's on a PC. And you can go to the internet and make the type bigger if you wish. But in the printer's point system, there are 72 points in an inch. And this happens to be 72 point type. And so that's about an inch high type. And this is 30 point type, and this is 24, and this is 18, and this is 14. Now this is 12, and generally the body of your newspapers and magazines and books are done in either 10 or 12. And then if I had an attorney in here, he would know what I'm talking about. This is 8 point type, and this is what they call the fine print. And I also have 6 point, and we actually do have 4 point, which is half of that, which I don't mind telling you. There's a few people in the club that have to put on the magnifying glass to set that type. It's like setting the ends of needles.